Okay, so now you know what's on your desktop. We're going to dig a little bit deeper to look at some of the other elements of Mac OS X. And we're going to start doing that by double-clicking on the hard drive up here in the upper right corner. This opens the hard drive, and this shows us the root level of the hard drive. This is the very first layer. At the root level, you're going to find, by default, 4 folders: Applications, Library, System, and Users. The Applications folder is exactly what it says. Inside here are all the applications that the Macintosh runs. When you install a new application, it is going to be put by default into the Applications folder, or if you have the choice to install something, it's likely that you're going to put it into this folder. And to move back to where you were before, click the back button here on the upper left corner. Now we're back to the root level. Here we see the Library folder. The Library folder contains lots of niggly little files that honestly you don't need to know about. At this level where you're just learning about the Mac OS, you don't need to know what's in your Library folder. For those of you who are a little more advanced, you should know that things like preference files are stored here, some application support files are stored here. It's just a general place for some system-y kind of applications-y things to go. Next to that is the System folder. The System folder is where the guts of the Mac operating system live. There are no reasons for you to be going into the System folder, honestly. Unless you're an advanced user, you do not need to go into the System folder. Just know that's where the real heart and brains of Mac OS X live. Now finally, this is an important folder for you. That is the Users folder. Within the Users folder are the various users that are on the Macintosh. Well, what do you mean the various users? I'm the only user, right? Well, actually, the way OS X is designed, it's designed as a multi-user system. So, for example, you could have a family full of people. Everybody using that Macintosh would have their own user account. Everybody could have their own space on the Mac that nobody else has access to. And you do this by creating new accounts within System Preferences, which I will show you later. For now, this is the Users folder. You double-click it to open it, and you will find that your particular user folder shows this little icon of a house, and it has your short username under it. Double-click that to open it, and you can see the structure of your account, your user. Here you have a desktop folder. The desktop folder will contain any items that you have on your desktop. If I open it, you'll see there's nothing there. The only thing you see on the desktop is the Macintosh hard drive icon, and that will not show within this desktop folder. But let's create something. Let's say we're going to create a new folder. Look, it appears here on the desktop, and it also appears within your desktop folder. For now, we're going to take this folder, we're going to drag it to the trash to get it out of there, and notice again, nothing on the desktop, nothing in the desktop folder. Go back up a level by clicking the back button. The Documents folder is where many of your documents are stored by default. You don't have to put them here, but most applications, for example, if you're running your text edit application, when you save a document, it will say, I bet you want to save it to your Documents folder. It will ask you to do that by default. Again, you don't have to, but that's where it's going to put it. In the Documents folder right now, we have a single document, and this describes the Stacks feature that I will describe later in these tutorials. Back button again. Download folder, this is something new to Leopard. This wasn't in previous versions of Mac OS X. Now, when you launch Safari, your web browser, and you download something, by default, it will place it in this Downloads folder. So far, I've downloaded nothing, so that folder is empty. We see another Library folder. What, you mean there's more than one? As a matter of fact, there is. You have the main Library folder that's at the root level of your Macintosh, but you also have a User Library folder. And within this, there will be certain preference files, for example, that relate directly to your account, but nobody else's account. Movies. Well, you have this wonderful iMovie application on your Mac, or perhaps you don't, but you will get it someday. When you create a movie and save it, by default, the OS will save these movies into your movies folder so you know where to find your movies. Music folder. If you have iTunes and you've purchased music from the iTunes store, or you've taken a CD and you've converted that music into files that you put into iTunes, and I'll show you how to do this later, those music files will show up in your music folder. Pictures. You've run iPhoto. You have a digital camera. You've plugged that digital camera into your computer and you've sucked all the images out of the camera, put them into iPhoto. Again, I'll show you how to do that. By default, when you save those things, they will show up in the Pictures folder. The public folder is for people that are accessing your Mac either from another account on the same Macintosh. So Brother John has launched his Mac. He's running in his user account. Gosh, he wants to see something in Sister Sue's account. He goes to her public folder. He can access that information or that document. And then the Sites folder is if you decide that you want to create a website, and you can do this through the Mac OS. All the files necessary to build that site will be found within the Sites folder. And that's how your user folder is constructed. And we're going to get back to the Finder. We can go back up through the user hierarchy to the root level, and finally we click the Close button and we return to the desktop.